Good morning, Neil fam. It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It is Saturday, 8:42 a.m. What a beautiful day it is. I just finished my coffee. I finished blowing my nose like 8 different times. It wouldn't stop running. One of those mornings. So if I stopped midway to blow my nose, letting you know ahead of time, I apologize. And we're here, like if you're new here, we drop one of these videos once per week. We aim for Saturday morning, but sometimes if we got time, we'll drop it on Friday, like right after the market closes. But I was busy yesterday, and here I am. I'm here to share where I see NIO going into next week. What you're looking at right now is a chart that we've been looking at and watching now for the past, I think a couple of weeks now. It's been now in this range, this bull flag, and it's fun. How many of you guys are having fun? Actually, I'm having fun watching the stock, and it's so awesome seeing it bounce over that big level that I've been talking about, 444, which was the previous high. It did take below, and man, oh man, if you talk about. And if you watch maybe like 3 weeks ago or even 4 weeks ago when we were like up here around like 520, I talked about like if you want to wait till it tags below, that's the buy trigger. And it did it. Now notice if we were to just quickly study, it tagged twice below. You got a little pop back down and then off it went. I mean, actually, it gave you one little hesitation red day and da-da-da-da-da. Now, I want to talk to you about, like, I think probably going into next week, it's going to move towards, like, I think it's goddamn ready. This thing is like, it is like a spring and it's being pushed down super duper hard. And it's just waiting to explode. It's waiting to explode to the next move higher. Now, I want to point out something to you guys, okay? We never talked about this last week, and I thought it would be really nice to kind of bring you guys attention to this, okay? Now, what you can do is you can measure how big of a move the prior move was and how big of the pullback was. This is it's called using trend-based Fibonacci. It's a trend-based Fibonacci tool. And then it could estimate and measure how big the next move is going to be. So based off this move, this previous move that it got, it was able to give you a 127.2% move. And that's where it tagged. Now, if we were to do something similar here, the 127.2% takes you to around $6.68, just under 7. And the 100% is 619. Like if that's where it's aiming for, and I think that's where it's going to go. Honestly, I've got such a good feeling about NIO. I'm so bullish. I've been posting about it. I've been talking about the velocity, trying to help you guys out. Which is another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Geez, I'm trying not to blow my nose, so I'm like just sniffling my nose here. I apologize. Now, if you notice, there is a gap there, and I know a lot of people have pointed at this gap, but like this one's a really obvious one, and it's right at 661, right? 60, right in that zone, 668. I mean, I would love to see this thing just fly. Completely fly. And who's to say, you know, you won't get 739? I know there's rules to like Fibonacci and Elliott waves. I don't do that here, to be honest. I'm not like I'm not an Elliott wave Fibonacci guy. So I just measure the velocity. I measure the price action. Regardless, even if you get a modest, it only takes the 100%. Where are we right now? From here, 480. 30%, that's modest, to the 622 to 670, 40, 39. I think most of you guys, I mean, sure, I'm sure some of y'all will want to see this kind of come all the way back up to 950 and $16 in due time. But for now, let's take it one step at a time. We cross that bridge one step at a time here. Now, if you want to notice here, I want to bring your attention to the velocity, everybody. Notice that this thing, if I were to draw an arrow here, this was your move up. It's the same color white. But it'll serve its purpose. And this has just been the pullback. Now, in the same sense, this was your move up, and you can see it kind of wiggled a bit. It's just more of like a more volatile, opened up, expanded version of this base. And it's awesome how it held that previous high. It's awesome how even though it dipped below, it held the previous high and broke back above. There's so many similarities. I know it's not a perfect thing because it's stretched out a lot longer. And typically, the longer the base, the bigger the rip. So you might even see that bigger rip. Like in a really good best case scenario, you guys, if you want this thing to just finally be profitable and rip, it's gonna eventually need to crack above 794. Maybe it gets that on this move. Work towards building that cup or that handle, which would be like, okay, it's cooling off, and then break back above, and then it launches. Like we're talking time to attack that 16 or whatever, right? Like it's gonna do something wild. But to do that, it needs to get above 8. Now, if I were to delete these, take a look at that. That would be like this little mini cup. If we can get above, and I talked about this before, if it can get above 780, you've now have that cup. And I would imagine just a take above that, it would give you that like reason to kind of come back, make 550 now like your new support. It would complete that handle. You would want it to work itself up, and you would just and then it would start your new parabolic support, and it would just like it would be like the next Palantir. I mean, that's the end goal for NIO investors, for bulls. You want this thing to freaking fly. And as we watch the price kind of go up and down and go crazy in this range, for a lot of people long term, it doesn't matter. If you're a believer, this thing is like, it's obvious for a lot of the bulls. They see the future, they see the tech, they're a believer in the fundamentals, and that's what makes it a lot easier for a lot of them to hold. Now, that's not what I'm about. I don't talk about the fundamentals here, because I'm not a fundamentals guy, and there's a ton of fundamental guys that you guys can go out and find your content on. That's not me. I'm here to break this down strictly from a technical perspective. I completely remove the fundamental analysis. I try and measure what I can see in front of me. The thesis behind that is, if I see something on the price action, if I see something, I truly believe that's the big whales who are moving and controlling the price, and there's going to be little hints. So we've been actually trying to post screenshots all throughout the week on Twitter and give you guys updates. There was a moment in time, and I'm going to put an arrow and bring your guys' attention to this. Right over here. It was right over here where we got, and I'll bring your attention to the price. And we'll zoom in on the price so you guys can actually, we can all look together, okay? There was a moment in time where it was right around here. I expressed caution. I said, guys, it made a lower low. Look out for the higher low that needs to form. And then so we gapped down on delivery numbers, I think is what happened earlier in the week. And it got a little bit of a lift. So that gap down was right here. And because it printed a lower low on the velocity, wow. And then when you got that lift and it lifted up, it needed to come back down and make a higher low. Now, I just want you all to know, this lower low here that we got where it tagged 437 made a lower low again. But that massive move we got on Friday, I think is a huge indicator the bottom was in. There it was. Hopefully I won't have to blow my nose again, but I just needed to. I needed to clear up my nose. I apologize. Um, now a lower low, now to bring you guys' attention back again, I'm going to remind you guys because we're going to compare it to the last run over here. Is that bottom, things started to move once you got that higher low. You kept getting lower highs and you need that higher low. And that's when you got that second oomph. And I believe that's still in the works here. Now, here's something really good that happened. Now, even though it was a lower low, the reason I'm confident that this was the bottom, there's a couple different reasons why I think that's the bottom. But number one, it made a higher high. That is the first higher high since July 23rd on the velocity. Like that was something different. It closed at the high of the day. It pushed up. Something's different. And I think what would be most appropriate is the most appropriate move here would be a tiny little pullback. Off it goes. That'd be the most appropriate. And so I don't know if you guys can tell the difference here. I'm hoping it's easy for you guys to see, but I'll put an arrow here. To me, this would be your signal. And that higher low on that velocity, by the way, could also be a higher low on the price. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, oh my God, there's a gap here at 447. And you know what? It might. I mean, just to complete this like super awesome spring coiling motion here. I think it's so beautiful. This coiling move, it's so freaking beautiful. It's like almost perfect. It's so symmetrical. It's so like the way you want. And so if it does want to do this, and it doesn't have to go, like say it could just do a little bit, that would be all you would need. And this thing can rock it. But to how low it can go, I mean, I think maybe just like last week, it's going to depend on registration numbers. Maybe that'll be a catalyst to kind of give you that little pullback, and then off it goes. This right here, and I talked about this, and this is something to pay attention to. You can break this price action down with just arrows, and it just makes it easy. So look, I took that arrow there. Sorry, I'm just going to do this. Move it up. You guys can see. Look at this. I'm literally lining it up with the price. Look at this. It's so beautiful. This is the way stocks are meant to move in this pattern. And here's what I talked about. In fact, I think it's more like that. Now, oftentimes before a more explosive move, you get that consolidation. You know what they call this in Wyckoff analysis? Now, I might be going like totally in left field, but some of you guys know what. Now, if you guys don't know what Wyckoff is like a type of TA that some people do. It's the one that kind of has like a chart. Where is it? Where it's like it shows like, okay, here's your selling. People say like, oh, there's your selling climax in phase 1, where the stock comes down and then it bounces up and it has an automatic reaction and comes down for a secondary test in phase 2. Sorry. And then it comes up and comes down, and they call this the phase 3, which is like it's building its I forget what they call it, but it's been a while since reading on. They call it phase 3. It's the spring is what they call it. Sometimes it's not a spring. There's the 2 different versions, but this is your phase 3. And then I think it's like last point of support, or they call it the final spring, and then it does this, dum 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 dum. And it does this, do, 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 do. And then off it goes. And this is phase 4. They call this phase 4 of a Wyckoff accumulation period. They call this the SOS is what this is called. Now, the SOS is actually a sign of strength. That's what they call it in Wyckoff. And what it is if you look at the actual chart, I wish I pulled it up. I don't want to minimize here for this video, but look it up. Look up Wyckoff accumulation schematic. That's what this is. That's what's happening here. This is a sign of strength here. It's going up and down. It's tagging. and it was also a breakout from the previous high, and it's boiling and it's building, I think. So for those of you guys that are a believer in the Wyckoff analysis, one of the most important phases is the SOS, and that's the phase that we're in. And there's a bit of like consolidation that's taking place here. It's true. It's true. It truly is. Look it up, you guys. I apologize. I think it would be more helpful if I had it prepared, but I wasn't planning on talking about Wyckoff, but I figured why not? It's something different, and it is something that I'm aware of. But it's not something that I like to do. It's overly fancy in my opinion. So just by looking at the 4-hour time frame, yeah, you know, there's the gap below there. I mean, if you want to cap that off, it gives you that. I think that's it. Bottom is in at 437. I'm calling that. Bottom is in. You're not going to see that come down below that. It's going to make a higher low and it's going to rip. Where's that higher low? I mean, if you wanted to get really like OCD about it, you guys, and you're like, oh my God, like where is it going to bounce? You can just draw out a fib retracement tool and you can measure that. Let's just say, you know, gap fills at 489. We're going to just make that assumption. It does that on Monday, comes up there. And it pulls back. It could pull back to 463. The golden pocket would be 455. I'll draw that out for you. It would do this. Off it goes. You could get that easily. It could just do that. There we go. So we go back to the 24 hours again. I'm going to delete some of these things. 4 hours. I do like watching the 2-hour time frame. This is another thing we talked about. We talked about how, like, man, this looks great. Like I talked about last one breakout, 2 breakouts. Here we go. That was one breakout. This was the first breakout. That's the second breakout. And you'll notice as it made that second breakout, it kind of failed, so it needed to break back out again and pulled back. You literally have a third breakout right there. Like it's ready to fly. It's ready to go. Like I think next week is going to be a awesome week for NIO. So if you guys were looking for some, you know, something to get you guys excited about, this is something to be super duper excited about. I truly believe there's going to be some exciting things that are going to be coming here from NIO. And that's what I believe. I believe like next week is going to be the week for NIO where you start seeing that finally break above 5, finally retest 550 and potentially just smash right through it. Given like the structure and where it is, I think it would be like appropriate for it to just blast quickly and just move really fast. And then at some point in time, however high it goes, it'll come back and give you that retest at some point. I don't know. Maybe it'll be down there. I don't know how high it's going to go. So we're going to have to watch it. But again, 4-hour time frame. Look, you see this? You see how it's, I'm going to use a different color here because the white is distracting and it doesn't quite do. Here we'll use red. You see, what did I just do? I didn't want to use eraser. I want to use demonstration. Hold Alt. Here we go. See that? This is below the 200-day moving average. At some point, it's going to return and break above the 200-day moving average. And when it does, you're going to get that big move. And this type of price action, by the way, is super awesome, super healthy. You got to love it. 2 hours looks beautiful. Yeah, I could see it come back and maybe you'll see it visit to 450 a little bit. It gives you that last little type of pullback. But But the reason for that is it did make another lower low on the velocity. So there's a chance. There's a chance you could see it give it one last lower low. I'm going with that the bottom is in because it made a higher low. Or sorry, pardon me, a higher high here. And that must be hard for you guys to see. So I'll zoom in. It made a higher high. Now, if we were to change our analysis and look at other stocks and see if we're seeing something similar, let's go. We'll first go to Baba. We'll touch up on Baidu quickly. But Baba, and delete this. Want something interesting? Look at Baba. I think I talked about this previously. I'm like, oh, look, it's going to hold. And notice how that was the battlegrounds. This previous high here. It broke back below, broke back under, and it's starting to move. Baba is going to start to move. I truly believe that. 140, I think, is coming. And you go on that 4 hour. It's forming a higher low here. It broke the 200-day moving average. It's ready to go. I like Baba. I like Baba so much. I love the name. I mean, there is that gap below right at 108, which is kind of like, it's kind of a little bit concerning. Did they have their earnings already? I don't know. I don't have earnings on. And I'm not going to waste time trying to figure out how to trend run, but I think Baba will go really. Now, if you go in the 2 hours, let's see if I can watch the 2 hours, because I know the 2 hours was similar to, very similar to NIO. Look at that. That was technically like a breakout in the first pullback. But if you wanted to do it like that, you could say, okay, there's your first breakout. There's your second breakout. And it kind of is a little bit behind where NIO is. You go to NIO on that 2 hours. This was its first breakout on the velocity. And that was its second breakout. Broke back under. And then you can see that was your first, your second, and you can argue like this. Something nice and big is coming for Baba and China. Super bullish. Look at Baidu, by the way. I just want to really bring to your attention. This is probably something you guys really need to pay attention to quite a bit. Baba had okay, I guess it wasn't that bad. How much of a move was that? That was a 3% move. I mean, when I'm looking at the chart, it kind of looks exaggerated, but I just want to bring your guys' attention. When you guys get like this price calling up and then it oomps, that's usually your buy signal. Notice how it made a lower low right here. And then what did it do? It just went crazy. It started to move higher. And that happens like all the time. All the time. It consolidates, takes out stop losses, boom, off it goes. Off it goes. Happens all the time, actually. Baidu actually is looking really, really, really good. Broke back above the 200-day moving average. And it looks ready to go. With the rest of China. Dixie. Dixie still looks good. It had a little bit of from 100 all the way back down to 97. It's right on the line. I mean, if that was it, there's a possibility you can see 92 on the Dixie. There's a possibility. Which would be crazy low. Crazy low if that ever happens. That would be ridiculously low. And I do believe that a move up to 103 is due. But I just don't know. Looking at the 24 hours actually on the Dixie. 4 hours. I could see it bottoming out here. It's already had its pullback and it's going to make its next move higher. So, well, 2 hours. I'm not sure here, guys, on the Dixie. This one I'm not 100% sure. Hang Seng, though, index. Not this one. We'll do the futures because I already have it charted. Hang Seng Index. Okay, we're going to go to 24 hours. It broke back above the 200-day moving average. Absolutely tremendous and beautiful. You love it. Basically, this huge move up probably would have wrecked shorts. This huge move down would have scared a lot of the longs, which is your big knife, and it's bouncing back up actually here. It's holding above this 50% line here, which is beautiful. You'd love to see it, and I think you're going to get a move towards 26,700. Now it does need to retest the 200-day moving average, so and it looks like it's already doing that. It's already giving you that pullback, so I can see that curling. Might curl this way. Maybe faster to align with NIO going up. I'm very bullish, very, very bullish on China. Extremely. And I think it's just taking time. It's taking its sweet, sweet time. And eventually this thing is going to get towards 26, 27. And of course, the goal here is if it does break above that resistance here, is to get all the way up into 30. Like, let's get a real big move. 20% move, okay? Let's do it. And what's really funny, China and Bitcoin, they tend to move in similar cycles, I've noticed. I've noticed when Bitcoin starts to move, that's when China starts to move, and that's also when NIO starts to move. They all kind of are a little, there's some sort of correlation. Now, usually I don't talk about Bitcoin. If you want to see something absolutely insane, dating back from COVID lows from March 20th, you had this channel. It was created from 1, 2, 3. Price broke below, came up for the retest, broke back above, came back and retested the original resistance, broke above resistance, came in to retest that. Now, it did break back below, but it's coming back. And so long as 114 holds, you know what that means for crypto? I could just draw a line here, like 169, 170. There it is. It might not do it in one shot. It'll probably do it like this. Boom, 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 something like that. But you're going to get a big move in crypto, I think, coming very soon here. And I'm not going to do a deep dive analysis. I'm a firm believer that I think crypto is about to move. You wouldn't get this kind of move if it wasn't going to make a big move. What you would have gotten is you would have got that rejection and it would have moved towards 70. But it's above that. It's above resistance. It's turning resistance into support, which is huge. I don't know if you guys understand the implications of that. Now, the reason I'm talking about Bitcoin is take a look at something. And hopefully you guys learned something new. Maybe you guys didn't know this. I'm going to share this with you here. Take a look at this. Let's compare it to NIO for a second. I don't think I did that right. I pushed the wrong button. New price scale. There we go. Now you'll notice when Bitcoin kind of had, this is Bitcoin, when Bitcoin had its big moves, that's also in line when NIO had its big moves. Oddly enough, Bitcoin drops, NIO drops, Bitcoin rips, so does NIO. And so big moves on Bitcoin. And you can just see how, I mean, NIO is a little bit of a lagger, but I think when it does go, it's going to go. And it's the same thing. If I were to take the NIO chart out and compare it to the Hang Seng Index, I do believe like there's going to be some similarities there. Your price scale. Jesus, look at that. You can't deny like there's like a correlation there. I'm not even having like, look, all I'm doing is sliding it up. The peaks and troughs. Look at this, the higher lows, the higher highs. And so you get Bitcoin going and doing this move. Bitcoin. Well, what do you think China's going to do? China's going to 30,000 HSI. So if you're in Baidu, if you're in NIO, if you're in Baba, it don't matter. Everything's just going to go wild, crazy. That's what I think. I think there's going to be another big move that's going to be coming. I'm super bullish this week. Super bullish on NIO. I know a lot of people are like, the run's over, the run's over. Some people were like kind of like worried about that because it kind of like, what is it doing? I think it's the SOS. It's like the last consolidation period. It's just building. You got to be patient. Once this thing breaks, it's gonna freaking fly. Hang on, let's delete this. And it might have already broken it. Let's see. Tried to break it right here. Like, let's go. Let's freaking go for NIO. I think a big move's coming next week. I think a big move's going to come next week. You might get a little bit of a pullback, but I think all dips are going to be a really, really good buy. Once again, if I forgot to say it, but if you're making a big financial decision on NIO, please do your own due diligence. Please do your own research. This is simply just for entertainment purposes and, hopefully educational purposes. I'm hoping you learn a little bit actually when you watch some of my videos. But I've been wrong in the past before, and I could be wrong about this. And I'm just saying this because I don't want someone to go out there and do something really stupid and then come back to me and say, what the hell, Laser? You said it was going to pop off. Well, I've been wrong in the past before, and I try my best to be as right as I possibly can, but that's why you got to do your own research and your own due diligence. That's all I have for today's video. If I missed something, if there was like a question or something that I missed and you guys really wanted me to show you that, please just ask the questions in the comment sections below. Thank you so much for everybody who comes tuning into my weekly videos. I do appreciate that. I make these videos for you guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. It really is helpful to me. And that's it. That's all. It's Saturday. I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. Cheers.